router sleds. Have you built one? Do you want to build one? Shall I show you how to make one for cheap? Hey?
Have a look at the shorts.
Rightio. So, I built this week, and I've been using it, and I thought, what a great video that would be to share with you all. Well, you literally dropped and landed on something, man. That was scary. Anyway, router sled, right? Let's have a look at the router sled. So, I've seen many reiterations of router sleds on the internet. A lot of them use linear rails, which is basically like the solid steel or aluminium rod. And it's got the bearing rails that run up and backwards and forwards on it, like one of these, look, like one of these. Basically like this, right? They use a linear rail like this. Got two carriages, one there, and then a brace. And that's fine, but not everybody has the money for that. Not everybody has the time to wait for that to arrive or build or whatever you do. So. Shall we have a look and see how I have built mine? Okay, so this is what I'm working with. This is 25mm ply. This is just like offcuts and leftovers. We've gone with an L shape like this. What that does is it enables you to be able to screw this all the way down, and it gives you a decent high quality, like it should be 90-degree fence to run on. We've done the same again on this side, over here. Obviously, we all know the edges of ply can be quite rough. So what I've done is I've just struck some 4mm on top of that and waxed that. And then we have the sled. Sled is super simple. It is just made up again of two L shapes. So we've got this section here, and then we've screwed into it from the bottom. Everything is glued, by the way. These are glued. This is all glued, obviously, because we don't want anything to move. We've got quite a hefty router on there. So you can see what we've done here, right, is we have two bases, and these two strips go the entire length. So what, should we move the trend out the way? These run the entire length all the way across, and then we've got the two uprights. Now the uprights, what they do is they stop the router from coming out, okay, because obviously we've got quite a chunky bit on here, and even though the router's quite heavy, it can torque, steer and pull, and what we don't want is we don't want anything to like pop out, because again, huge bit running at like 15,000 RPM. So this can turn a little bit because it gives it a little bit of wiggle room in there, but nothing that's going to torque, steer it out and rip it out of our hands. And then we've got two sides, one here and one on the other side, and then we have a couple of stops just to make sure that that massive 2-inch bit doesn't run into the side of the supports. And like I said, you can see this is all old scraps. This was a shaker door that I was making that the router bit wasn't set the correct height. Got a bit of scrap MDF over here. So I have been using this to clean up a whole bunch of hardwood slabs. Now these slabs here, this one here is 7 feet or 8 feet, something like that, 7 or 8 feet, and it's almost 3 feet wide. So that's where this L shape, right, comes into play, because we've only used an 18mm thick base here. If we were to do an 18mm thick base on its own, without this upright for support, it would sag, right? It would basically do that, or like that, or like that. But yeah, it would sag, and we don't want that, because you're trying to flatten something, right? You don't want to create a divot in it, do you? So that's why these L shapes are super important. Again, on here, what they do is they allow it to be super strong and secure, because my router weighs like 6.5, nearly 7 kilos, I think, plus the sled. You don't want to have too much wiggle room or bouncing or anything else like that. You can see here, we have a little bit of slack in there. That's just because, well, it just makes everything a bit easier. All I did when I put these on was to measure between this point and this point, screwed it in, took it down to the other end, measured it between there, screwed it in, measured it in the middle, screwed it in, and then that was it. I popped this side of the fence on, so I popped this on and flushed this up, screwed this one down, came over this side, did exactly the same thing again. Also checking with a framing square, or you can do the 3-4-5 method, whatever you want, just making sure that we're square in here and we're square in here. Then I popped the router on, given myself a little bit of wiggle room, marked it, screwed it again one side, screwed it again the other. It's proper bare bones, super simple, but you can see it gets the job done and makes a proper mess of my workshop. A couple of things to be aware of, obviously, when you're building one, is how much plunge you have on your router. Okay, so you can see here, I've stepped this up. The reason I've done this is because then it enables me to finally adjust how high I want the slab. And I think realistically, the bit protrudes about like 8 or 9 mil out of the bottom of the sled. Okay, so yeah, so the bit doesn't protrude out very much. So that's something you want to be aware of when you're building it and you're looking at thicknesses of materials and everything like that that you can use. Like I said, I did wax everything up. So all of this is waxed, all of the MDF is waxed. Well, any friction based, any surfaces that are going to have friction, they've all been waxed to just keep it. Ooh. There you go, just slides off the end, smashes my router. It's super simple. The bit that I've got in here, look, is just a cheapo Chinese, look, nothing special. It's the same bit I use for servicing my board on the CNC router. Super simple, super cheap. Yes, I am running a Trend T11 in there, which is, I don't know, like a 300, 400, 500 pound router. You don't need anything like that. All you're doing is you're setting it to the height and locking it, and then you're just moving it backwards and forwards. It's 2,200 watts, so what's that? Maybe like a 3 horsepower. Yeah, 3 horsepower motor, I think, in it. But yeah, it's nothing super duper expensive on this. This is just quick and easy, get it done, and it works. And yeah, it's awesome. And if you happen to be wondering, Josh, you have a CNC over there, why are we not doing this? And I'm like, well, because the boards were cupped this way, they were also cupped this way. So look, so they were cupped here, then they were cupped here, and then it was also twisted as well. So like I had to, so obviously I popped it up, and I've had to pop sections in just like you would do, you know, if you were planing it, you keep it at one angle and run it through. It's so much easier and safer for me to move this backwards and forwards, check it, move it, check it, move it, check it, than it is to think that everything is perfect on the CNC and then it isn't, and it moves and it like damages the spindle on my CNC or breaks something, or yeah, this is just a lot simpler and easier. Just takes an hour or two to get all the slabs flattened up. Then they can go on the CNC. Then we can machine the company logo onto them. Not my company logo, but somebody else's clients. But yeah, super simple. So you don't have to spend loads of money. Don't have to have a big beefy router, but I would recommend using a 1/2 inch router. I would not do it with a 1/4 inch. L shapes are key. Make sure you have smooth surfaces that are running together. Wax them, always helps. Or you can do like silicone spray if you want, and just always take like tiny, minute increments. So I only drop down a 2 mil at the most. So I tend to just do 1 mil, 2 mil. So much easier just to do loads more passes than it is, because that 4 cutter, it's only a 2-inch cutter. It's cold in here today. It's only a 2-inch cutter, but when that bites, man, it bites. And I don't think I'm that weak. I would argue I've got a little bit of strength. It almost rips it out of my hand. So yeah, so just be super careful. But get at it and don't spend a lot of money. All right, if you'd like me to show you how to build it, let me know and I'll do a video. Have a great day. All right, thank you very much. So I got 2 of the ash slabs done and engraved. How nice do they look, eh? Beautiful. Should we wet them up, see what they look like?